إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All praises are due to Allah, the Lord, the Cherisher, the Sustainer of the heavens and the earth. May His peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his family and his companions and his followers until the day of judgment. Whomsoever Allah guides, no one can misguide him. And whoever is misguided, only Allah Azza wa Jal can guide him. And I bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah is his last and his final messenger. O you who believe, fear your Lord as he should be feared and don't die other than in a state of Islam. One time, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he was walking and he saw a woman that was carrying a lot of luggage. And so he went up to her and he offered to help and he started carrying her things. It was a very, very hot day in the desert. And he went on a bit of a journey with her to carry all of her stuff. And as they're going along, they're just making some conversation. And he asks her what she's doing and where she's going. She says, I heard that there is a man who came here. His name is Muhammad. And this man is bad news. And he's taking people away and splitting families up and calling people to a certain message. And they go, and the entire trip and the entire journey, she's complaining about this man, Muhammad. And he goes and he helps her, and he carries her things, and then they get to her destination. And when they get there, he puts her stuff down, and she thanks him, and he's leaving. And she says, and at least let me get your name. And he says, I am the one of whom you are leaving this town because of. And this story to me is very important because it shows something, and it shows the service of a Muslim. And it shows the service of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And you know that when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he used to do things for people, it wasn't because he was just telling them about Islam. And we know this because even before he received the first revelation, he was already doing a lot of things to serve the community. He was taking care of the orphans, he was feeding the needy, taking care of family, and doing all of these things. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ is described as Rahmatin lil Alameen. He is a mercy to all of whom? To all the good Muslims? No, he is a mercy to all the worlds. We think about this as when we say a mercy to mankind, that the Prophet Muhammad was a mercy to mankind and that we should do this as well, or that he was a mercy to the world. We think about this sometimes as maybe a slogan to put on a flyer. But it means much more than that, and we should live our lives like that. I have a 3-year-old son, and when we're outside somewhere and he sees a bug, the first thing he wants to do to that bug is what? He wants to squash it. So I have to remind him. I say, no, you are a mercy to the world. You are here as a mercy to the world. Even when it's a 3-year-old crushing a bug, I remind him that you are a mercy to the world. If you're not going to eat it or use it for your clothes or something like that to keep you warm, then don't go and just cause destruction. We as Muslims are a mercy to the world. And when you see somebody who needs help, then you as a Muslim should go and help that person. You know, one time I was outside of IKEA, and my wife and we were with our kids, and we were leaving, and it was the windiest day of the year. They had just mentioned this on the radio. And I saw a man trying to put a mattress on top of his roof. And the mattress is flying everywhere. He has this really tiny little car, and the mattress is bigger than his car. And he's trying to put it on top. So I tell my wife, I'm going to go and help this man. So I stop, and we sit there for a while, and I go and I get some twine from inside, and we're sitting there trying to tie this thing down to the roof of his car, and the wind is blowing, and the mattress is blowing, and both of us are working together, And I was there for a good maybe 15, 20 minutes. And we're tying it down, and finally we tie it down real good. And the whole time while I'm tying it, I'm thinking, man, this guy, he needs to know that I'm a Muslim. He needs to know that Muslims are good people. Should I tell him, I just wanted to let you know that I'm Muslim. That I'm, helping you tie this mattress to the roof of your car. I'm thinking my wife wears the hijab. Maybe I should call my wife out for a second so at least he sees her in her scarf and knows that, Muslims are good people. So then I start thinking of all the things that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to do for people without doing this so that he could tell them that he's Muslim. But then he goes at the end and he tries to pay me money. He gives me a $20 bill. And so I tell him, I said, no, absolutely not. I said, but if someone says something about a Muslim, tell him a Muslim helped me out one time. We as Muslims are here to serve humanity, to serve mankind. Part of serving people is being good to people. Part of serving people is being a good friend to people that you're close with, being a good friend to people who you're not very close with. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, a believer is friendly. SubhanAllah, Rasulullah ﷺ, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, the believer is friendly. There is no good in the one who does not befriend or is not befriended. You find in the news today, Muslims get a bad rap. Very often. You find people who do things that aren't in the fold of Islam, and they say that this is Islam. I have this theory or this idea in mind that the ratio of Muslims to people of other faiths in this country is about 1 to 40. So if we go out and have a positive impact, every single one of us, on 40 different people, then inshallah we'll change this impression of what people have is Islam in their minds. We have a lot of energy. And when we are especially in our college years, we have opportunities to do a lot of things, and don't let this time pass you by. You have a lot of energy and you want to do things and you want to serve, and you have some more time and you have people around you who are encouraging you to do good. Don't let this time pass you by, because years go by and all of a sudden you get married, you have kids, you have a job, and your time becomes a lot more tight and things become a lot more difficult to do. And so when you're in the MSA, you do things that you may think are very small, but these things echo for years and years after that. I remember I was in the MSA at the University of Maryland, and we did, with my MSA, we worked on getting a musalla on campus, a place for people to pray. We used to pray in the stairwell. And then we worked on getting a place to pray, and years later, after I've left, people are still praying in this musalla. And you get rewarded for all of these things. Some people before me, they started doing a dawah table, just an information table. And when I was there, people would come and ask about Islam and take some pamphlets, and people would accept Islam because of this. And years have passed since people started doing this dawah table, since the people who initiated it. And they don't know what's happened after that. If we plant a seed, we don't know how it's going to grow. And we're not only that, but we're not rewarded by Allah based on how much something grows. You plant it with sincerity, and you get the reward for planting it with sincerity, and you get reward that you don't even know about. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he said, بَلَّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Mention my verses, or tell people about me, even if it's just a verse, something that's very small. We know as activists, as workers, as MSA workers, as Muslims, that we take an action and we work for the long term. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he said that if the day of judgment were to come upon you, and you had a sapling in your hand, then go ahead and plant it. So if you have something in your hand to plant, and it becomes the day of judgment, go ahead and plant it. Who's going to benefit from that tree? It doesn't matter who's going to benefit from that tree. That's what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ is telling us. We want to be relevant. We want to serve people. We want to be a good friend. There was a man who was Muslim, and he converted to Islam. And he was sitting with a bunch of his friends, and he was telling the story of how he became Muslim. And he said that there was this park that he used to go to before he was Muslim. And he said that people used to actually go to this park so that they could smoke weed. So he said, I was there one day, and we're sitting there smoking weed, and this guy comes up next to me, and he sits down and he starts smoking with me. And people started leaving, it started getting late, and then it was just me and him at the park, smoking weed, talking. And this guy starts just talking to me about Islam. The guy happened to be a Muslim. He says he started talking to me about Islam. And we sat there until we were all out of weed to smoke. And we kept talking until the sunrise. And then later, I left and I started thinking about it, and I ended up becoming a Muslim. And so while this man is telling this story to his friends, someone said a negative thing about this guy that was there. He said, this guy, he's a Muslim, smoking weed, and he thinks he's really teaching people about Islam. This man said, don't talk bad about this man. Don't talk bad about this man. He said, he's going to show up on the day of judgment. He doesn't know that I ever accepted Islam. And for this small act that he did, he's going to show up on the day of judgment, and he's going to find a mountain of deeds waiting for him. Everything that I've done in my life is going to be waiting to be put on his good deeds and on his scale on the day of judgment. So don't talk bad about somebody. You could do a small action and it can echo, and you don't know what kind of reward you will get for that. Doing something that's so small and so simple. How many people have become better Muslims because they met somebody who served them? Because they met somebody who gave them something to eat when they didn't have something to eat. Or someone who was a good friend to them. Or someone who was gentle with them. I remember I wasn't very practicing in my younger years, and I broke my collarbone playing soccer. And I was in the bathroom in a public restroom, and I was next to one of my Muslim friends, and I was making wudu, and we were going to pray. I wasn't as practicing, but alhamdulillah, we were still praying. And I remember I was in so much pain after I broke my collarbone, and I couldn't lift my hand up to wash my arm. And I sat there and I stopped making wudu, and I stared at the mirror, and I just started crying. And then this brother, who I barely even knew at the time, he looks over at me, he says, "What's wrong, man?" And then I bust out crying. I said, "I can't even make my wudu right, man." And he stopped making wudu, and he walked over, and he rolled up my sleeve, and he started washing my arm for me. SubhanAllah, something like that, to me, SubhanAllah, something like that really, really affected me. Someone just doing a small, kind act. And he didn't know till years later what that did to me. You do a kind act for someone, you serve somebody, and you don't know what kind of effect that it has on people. Being around good people is something that encourages you. Being around good people is something that encourages you to be better. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he said, take advantage of 5 before 5. And this is very important in the years that you're here and in college and trying to serve people and trying to do good acts. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, take advantage of 5 things before 5 things overtake them. He said, take advantage of your youth before your old age. Take advantage of your health before your sickness. Take advantage of your wealth before your poverty. Take advantage of your free time before you don't have free time. And take advantage of your life before your death. In these years that you're in college and you have energy and you have time and you have youth and you have health, take advantage of these things before you'll look back on a time where you wish you had more of these. Take advantage of your wealth before your poverty even. SubhanAllah, and that's you talk about college students being poor. SubhanAllah, you don't have a lot of responsibilities like you will later on. You'll have so much barakah in blessings in the whatever little wealth that you can give in sadaqah. Because it might be very small, but it might be a bigger percentage than what you can give later on when you have more responsibilities. Take advantage of 5 before 5. There is a book that I came across, it's called Eat That Frog. 21 ways to stop procrastinating and get more done with less time. And I'm going to just mention 5 of the things that he mentions in this book of how we can accomplish more and serve more people and get more things done in our time. Number 1 is to decide where to begin. Think about what it is that you want to accomplish. Think about the things that you want to do while you're here, while you're in school, while you're in the MSA, and concentrate on those things. Develop a science of picking the right things to do. If you can do this, then you're going to accomplish much more than if you didn't do that. Set goals for yourself and write them down on paper. When you want to do something, when you want to do an act, when you want to do community service, look and see whether or not these things fit in the goals that you want to accomplish. Focus on your key results, because you're not going to be able to accomplish all of these things. Number 2, practice creative procrastination. That means, first of all, everybody procrastinates. There's things that you're going to accomplish and things that you're not going to accomplish. Make sure you calculate it and make sure that you're leaving the things that you should be leaving. Create a not-to-do list. If there's things that are consuming your time, put them on your not-to-do list if they're not accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish. Don't get caught up with the things that don't fit these goals of yours. Focus on things that are more important. Learn to say no to the things that don't fit within these goals that you want to accomplish. Number 3, plan in advance. And this one is a very difficult one. Plan in advance. Come up with a list of things that you want to do. Some people do it daily. If you do it daily, then these are the people who accomplish the most in life. I've told myself to do it daily and I still can't do it. But inshallah, one day I'll start doing it. But plan things every day of what you're going to do the next day. Number 4 is leverage your special talents. And this one I'm going to really stress on. So if you're good at something, then work on it. I had one of my teachers, he would be able to find the things that I'm good at, and he would encourage me to really do these things. And I'm talking about within my Islamic work. He would pinpoint the things that he knew I was good at within my Islamic work and service to the community, and he would push me to do more of these. I had another teacher who would find the things that I'm not good at and tell me to improve these things. But I'm saying to find these things of ways that you can serve the community and work on improving these things. And this is even within your acts of worship. If you can fast, but standing up at night is hard for you, yes, work on standing up for prayer at night is hard for you. Yes, work on standing up for prayer at night, but also keep doing the things that you can accomplish and the things that you're good at. Do the things that you love to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us each talents and different passions, so make sure you utilize those talents and go after those passions that you have. Give each other compliments when you see people who have things that can serve others, that can help others. Make sure you compliment them on those things so you can encourage them to do those things. Ask yourself, if I had $10 million, what would I do with my life other than work? And work on those things in order to serve others. There's a saying that says, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go and do it, because what the world needs is people who come alive. And number 5 is to motivate yourself into action. So be optimistic. Help others to become optimistic when you can do things. I mean, I know when I hear the story about giving food to the homeless. When people talk about these things, it encourages me to want to do those things. The Prophet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَيْأَسُوا مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. And never give up hope of Allah's soothing mercy. Surely no one gives up hope of Allah's soothing mercy except for those who have no faith. So pick the right things to do. Have something in your life to show for these things. Brothers and sisters, and your victory of the things that you do and you work on is directly tied to your sincerity. So when you're trying to accomplish things, make sure that you are sincere with those things. You want to start something good. Sometimes you struggle to do something within your MSA. Years ago, alhamdulillah, you have this number of people coming in for an event like this. Maybe 25 years ago or so, when they started the MSA here at UMBC, if they put on an event like this, maybe 1 person, 2 people, 3 people would show up. But you know what? Maybe they got a lot of reward for that because they were sincere with it. You don't measure success based on the number of people who come. I know when I was in the MSA and I would put on events, and this was a big thing for me. How many people are going to come? How many chairs we're going to set up? Are we going to be able to pack the room? Maybe make the room, get a smaller room so it looks more full. SubhanAllah, and this is not the measure of success. And I'm talking to all the youth workers, I'm talking to the MSA workers. This is not how you measure success. You measure success on your pleasure to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do something right, you do it for the sake of Allah, and you will get rewarded for those things. SubhanAllah, and even you establish something that people later on will do, you get more reward for that thing. There was a man who saw the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his very, very early days of Islam. So he went and he saw the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was standing outside of his home and he was praying. And so he asked someone, he said, "Who's this man?" They said, "This man, he claims to be a prophet." So he looks, and who's praying with him? Khadija radiallahu anha, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and Zayd ibn Harith, right? So it's his wife and 2 kids. These are the very, very early days of Islam. Maybe 5, 6 people were Muslim at the time. So he said, "Who's this man?" They said, "This man, his name is Muhammad, and he claims to be a prophet." So this man saw him, he said, "Okay, whatever," and he left. Years went by, and this man accepted Islam. This man, instead of being number 6, 7, 8 who accepted Islam, the man was probably number 120,000 who accepted Islam. Had he accepted Islam in those early days, where it wasn't, it wasn't glorious to take part in something like this. There were very few people. It wasn't all these people coming in droves like that. He would have been from among the people like Ali ibn Abi Talib, like Abu Bakr Siddiq, like Khadija radiallahu anha. And yet, now, if he wants to talk to the Messenger of Allah, he needs to get in the back of the line, because now there's all of these people. SubhanAllah. So when you start something, then you get more reward for something like that. Don't worry about who's there or who you're pleasing, because you're looking only for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in no need from us. Any of the services that we do, any of the actions that we do, any ways that we serve the community, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need us. If there's a homeless man that we feed, and we decide one day we're not going to feed him, that man's still going to eat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ. And if you turn away, then Allah will replace you by people other than you, and they will not be like you. Meaning, if you don't take an opportunity to do what's right and do what's good, other people will come and they will take on that job and they will take on that role and they will serve the community and they will not be like you. I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to serve the community, to give a better impression of Islam, and to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
Brother Ehab. So one of the things that spoke to me and a couple of people in this room out of the numerous gems that Brother Ehab dropped on us, the sincerity aspect about doing everything with sincerity. When he was speaking of not looking at the numbers, you know, we kind of looked around, kind of the people who have been involved in the MSA. We kind of just laughed to ourselves because we lose the mission that we have when we form an MSA. Any organization, really Islamic or un-Islamic, because we always focus on the numbers, how many people were there. And I know after this event, the first thing that everyone's going to want to check is their registration to see what number we got to. But it is important, the content and the sincerity that you are going about with every event that you're doing. Before I go ahead and introduce our next and final speaker, I wanted to retract a little bit. Opening Quran recitation was done by Hafid Adam Butt. He is a current student at Towson University, and he is one of the lead coordinators for the ISB Muslim Athletic Program. So the UMBC MSA flag football tournament that is coming up on November 8th that everyone is invited to take part in. He is one of the lead organizers for that. So if you do have any questions, please go ahead and ask him. He's still here, so he definitely wants those questions. So inshallah, and the translation was done by Brother Chad. He is the current publicity director of the MSA. So just wanted to throw that out there and let you guys know who they are. So I'll go ahead and introduce our next and final speaker. As I said, as the director of program development, Brother Jose is currently serving as the Arabic/Islamic Studies and Quran chair at the Al-Rahma School, along with leading the newly launched Dutiful Center, a homeschooling program part of the Quran Academy, and also currently the youth director at the Islamic Society of Baltimore. He was also the former youth director at Dal Hijra in Falls Church, Virginia. His involvement in education background is well noted as he served as vice principal of Al-Hada School for many years. He's also the founder and leader of the former Nomad Camps and also led a team called Andalus Troops to the DC Miss Tournament for many years before his current involvement with the ISB Miss teams. Brother Jose lives very near ISB with his wife and 4 children, 2 of which are here today. Please welcome Brother Jose Acevedo to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So these guys made it a little bit difficult for me. Some emotional things came to my mind as they were talking and some of the examples that they used. So with that, I'm going to share some stories also, inshallah, and hopefully to help inspire a little bit as well. When I was doing nomad camps, we did a camp. It was called the Urban Adventure Camp. So what we would do is we would go into cities and do like an amazing race type thing. So we'd give them puzzles to the youth, and they'd go around in museums and stuff like that, and had to gather things. A big team building activity. So we did one in New York. We did one in DC. But when we were in DC, we stopped to pray. It all ended at Union Station. Okay, if you're familiar with DC, Union Station is the big train station. So we finished there. That's where the last group had to go to win. And then it was time for Salah. So we prayed right there, right in front of Union Station. And as we started our Salah, this guy just started like yelling, trying to distract us. So, but we just kept praying, and then all of a sudden we see somebody, in the periphery of our vision, somebody comes and kind of shoos that person away, and then stands guard. So we finish the Salah, and we meet this person, and it turns out he was a homeless brother. He was Muslim, but he was homeless. So we started to have this discussion with him, and he just told us how he survives basically by picking things out of the trash and whatnot. And it was extremely touching for us because the majority of the participants don't know anything about that lifestyle at all. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you all too is that when you do help people, and inshallah that's the purpose, is to inspire you to help people. Never look down on those people, right? Whether it be tutoring, whether it be giving food out. That brother helped protect us. He helped protect us. Inshallah, got the reward for our salah. Yet, on the surface, we may judge that person as being maybe lower than us. So when you do serve, always know that there's a way for that person to contribute. There's a way to learn from that person as well. There's a way to gain from everyone. Everyone has something to contribute. So always keep that in mind, inshallah, as well. And just a second story, and this one goes to something that Brother Ehab had mentioned about the guy smoking weed. Now, he wasn't saying go ahead and smoke weed and try to open people's minds to Islam, okay? That's not what he was saying. All right, inshallah, I hope you got that, but just I want to make sure we put that out there. The camp that we did in New York. So we did our urban adventure camp, and we're finishing. We went to Brooklyn. Now, actually, it was in Spanish Harlem. And we were walking around trying to find, there was a halal pizza spot. So we're just trying to find this halal pizza spot. We stopped off in a corner store, right? And what's the typical idea of the corner store and who owns the corner store that's selling all the liquor and everything else, right? It's the Muslim. So the Muslim corner store, all this kind of stuff. Of course, what's going through our mind, what's the matter with this guy? Right? What's the matter with this guy? Why is he over there selling alcohol and lottery tickets and all this other kind of stuff? So we started a conversation with the brother that's working behind the counter. So we asked him, we said, brother, what's going on? Look at what you're selling. And this. He starts breaking down crying. He starts breaking down crying. So what's wrong? He said, I'm illegal here. He said, I'm illegal here. I married a family from this country, and that family owns this store. I can't get any other job, and the family won't let me leave my job, otherwise they'll make me divorce my wife. I hate being here. I haven't listened to Quran for months. And he was crying. So again, about the prejudgment and judging that brother, the one who was smoking weed, yeah, obviously he was doing wrong in that sense. But we all do wrong in a certain sense. And we have to try to capitalize, even if we are doing some wrong, to make sure that we maximize on the good that we're doing. And subhanAllah, when it comes to the giving and the serving, one of the youth that was in the group, he gave his whole, this back in the day, it's not even that long ago, but, we had Walkman with CDs, right? Not MP3 players that didn't exist at the time. So he gave his CD player, his portable CD player, to the brother because he had Quran in it. And he gave it to the brother, and the brother, the lights that came from his face, we'll never forget these stories, subhanAllah. It's just amazing. So when it comes to this, this idea and this concept of helping and serving, and the point that was brought up about sincerity, the first thing that I wanted to ask everybody was, why? What's the point? Why should we serve? Or why do we serve? Why do we join community service projects? Why do we help Helping Hands, for example? They have their table in the back. Why do we volunteer for MSA? Why? I'm asking you, why do you do it? Why do we volunteer? Why do we do community service? Why? Give me some reasons why people do it. Or why you do it. It's not rhetorical. I'm asking for real. Why do you do this? Yes?
It's like Sadaqah Jariyah, so good deeds to build up.
Okay, so it's a Sadaqah Jariyah, so inshallah, you'll be able to accumulate good deeds, hopefully, inshallah, even after you pass away. What else? It doesn't have to be textbook answers either. Just, why do you help? Yes?
feel like it's gratifying when I help someone and makes them happy in return. It makes me happy seeing them happy.
Okay, so there's a sense of, elation. When you're helping somebody else and you see the effect, you yourself feel good. Alhamdulillah, what else? Why else do we help? What are some of the reasons why people do community service? Yes?
You're hoping they'll help you later?
Maybe you're hoping for a kickback at some point. Inshallah, okay, that's fine. That's why some people do it. Right? We're not judging, we're just answering. Yes?
That's to be classified
I'm sorry, repeat it one more time. So Allah is testing us, so why do you volunteer? In order to gain Allah's pleasure? What else? Guys in the back, sisters. Why else do we volunteer? Yes?
Someone has to do it.
Somebody has to do it, right? Somebody has to do it. What else? Good. Yes?
Because the prophets and the companions, they did this and they're pretty much guaranteed Jannah, so it's like you're following their pathway.
So you're trying to imitate the Prophet and the companions, inshallah? Okay, good. You might had something?
Maybe to like build a resume to put something on there.
Let's be real, right? We want to build a resume, right? So we can put all these things. I did this, help this cause, this organization. Yes.
Leave a legacy behind so that others can follow.
To try to leave some type of legacy against similar to Sadaqa Jariyah. And there's various other reasons. Sometimes you have community service requirements. And now, you're pretty much done with that. But like in high school, right? Most of the time you just did it because you had to. You need to get that sheet filled out so you can graduate, right? So there's various reasons why we may do stuff. Sometimes even for PR, right? Just for PR, for public relation purposes. We're out there, we're doing stuff just so we can look good or whatever. Right? So there's various reasons why we may be doing community service. But why do you think, now here's the next why question. Why do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give reward for community service? For serving others? Why? Why would Allah give rewards for that?
Allah is not in need of us, so He gives us reward for serving His creation that He loves.
Okay, so because Allah doesn't need us, but He loves that we serve those that He does create. Good. What else? Why? Why would Allah reward us for serving other people? Yes?
You're kind of putting your egos aside and you're looking for a greater good.
Okay, so there's a level of sacrifice involved with that, right? In some form or another. Either your time, your effort, right? You're sacrificing in order to benefit another person. And maybe you don't get that kickback from that person, right? What else? Any other ideas as to thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why He would reward us for doing service? Any other ideas? Yes. In the back first, I'm sorry. To recognize? To recognize one another? What do you mean? Can you explain that?
Like basically why we don't serve, we recognize the other, so basically break down the walls of the other guy.
Okay, so to get to know each other a little bit better, maybe break barriers down. Very good. Now, why would Allah reward that? The reason why I'm asking the why questions, because the why questions are the Iman questions. The why questions are the Iman questions. When you understand why, or you at least contemplate why, and you're able to answer those questions for yourself, those are the Iman boosters. Right? Because usually what we only focus on is the what. What do I have to do? I gotta pray. I gotta give sadaqah. I gotta give my zakat. Right? We know what the what is. Right? And sometimes we do it just because we have to. But when we know the why and we understand the why, we are very willing to do those things. We are motivated to do those things. right? It doesn't take external motivation, it's intrinsic, right? So when our sincerity, the why is the sincerity piece. The why is the sincerity piece, right? So if we're looking for the kickback, maybe the kickback doesn't come, so we don't do the service anymore, right? Maybe we don't get the numbers that we anticipated, right? So then we don't want to do it anymore. So we have to really come to grips with why. And when it comes to Islam at large, in general, why Islam, period? Why Islam? And we go back to the crux of it. And the beautiful thing called Sharia, okay? Our way of life, our code of ethics, the Sharia of Allah, there's 5 reasons for the Sharia. There's one general reason for it. And it's to bring justice to the world. That's the purpose of the Sharia, the purpose of Islam. I'm going to show the connection in a second to the service. And there's 5 primary areas that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to preserve and to promote. Deen, which is, the religious, being able to focus on our spirituality and whatnot. Preserving and promoting deen. Preserving and promoting life. Preserving and promoting the intellect. Preserving and promoting wealth. And preserving and promoting our future generations, our progeny. So when you think of service, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Islam for the purpose of these 5 things being preserved and promoted. And that's the why of Islam. Okay? And then the why of the service for us as human beings is to make sure that this happens. Because Allah created us as Muslims to implement that. That's why there's revelation. That's why there's prophets and examples for us. So that we know how to implement those things. And part of that implementation of promoting the deen, we have to serve. Going out and giving da'wah. Volunteering for da'wah, right? When it comes to life, not just human life. So through helping hands, as Ehab mentioned, that it was a rahmah to all of the creation, all of the worlds, all of the creation, right? Not just human beings. So that means the animals, that means the environment. We as Muslims should be the ones serving and promoting and protecting the environment. The rights of animals, the rights of children. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. As Muslims, we should be at the forefront, promoting and protecting the lives of those who are weak and who are suffering from these situations. It's also Anti-Bullying Month. So preserving life, preserving wealth, all these things, intellect. Here in the school, in the university, right? How are we helping to preserve and promote intellectual thought? This is a place of higher learning. What is it that we're contributing to that? We take as students, right? We're sitting in classes, we go to professors, we have TAs, office hours. What are we giving when it comes to the promotion of this intellectual knowledge? This is our responsibility, right? And it goes on beyond there. So what we really wanted to do, and we have this natural grouping here with the tables, is we're going to spend the last few minutes that we have here. I want each group to think of 3 ways that either you as an individual or the MSA as a group can serve the UMBC community, or if you're more involved in another school or at your youth group, at your masjid, how you can serve in that sense. And I'm going to plant a few seeds in your mind to get your brains rolling a little bit. Okay, because I know maybe you haven't eaten dinner yet and you kind of slow down a little bit. So just to kind of, get the gears shifting a little bit. All right? So there's 3 things you can do, generally. 1, you can start something completely new that doesn't exist, right? You can, number 2, jump on to something that is already going on, for example, like Helping Hand, or Project Downtown, or whatever, Empty Stomach, whatever different programs that are out there, right? And number 3 is kind of, okay, I'm going to say piggybacking. It's not harm to say that, right? Just because it's a pig, whatever, I'm going to say piggybacking, all right? If you don't like it too bad. Some people try to say camelbacking, whatever it's done. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. So, at least when I was in school, we had this big chemistry building, and there was a resource center, and every night, from this time to this time, there was always study halls, study groups going on. You can just go in there, pop in. There are people to help you out if you have questions. Study group, all that kind of a thing. So think about, okay, I'm sure stuff like that is happening throughout campus already. A simple thing would be just going to Dunkin' Donuts, getting a box of donuts, and just bringing it there, and you put it aside in a courtesy of MSA. That's what I'm talking about, like piggybacking on something that's already happening. It's not like big time community service, right? But just little things. Just like a little thing like that, right? So I want you to think of 3 things. Either a brand new idea, or jumping in on something that's already going on. Keep it simple, right? Or the 3rd one is be a little bit creative and see how you can piggyback on something, all right? And do that at each table. And I want each table come up with 3 and at least share 1 out, all right? So we'll do that over the next few minutes or so, inshallah. So discuss amongst yourselves, inshallah, come up with some good ideas. If there's only a couple of you, jump in. So we have a portable microphone that can go around, so pick a representative from your table who can share out, inshallah. Let's start at the back table. Start at the back table, inshallah. So if you can quickly just give us one of your best idea, inshallah. And if we have 2, we can give 2. Alright. So everybody, respectfully, if we can quiet down, inshallah, so we can listen to each other's ideas. I'm glad you're very engaged, alhamdulillah. Alright, bismillah. No books out, inshallah, MSA people. Go ahead.
One of our ideas was contributing to the collective garden that UMBC has.
Put it in.
UMBC has like a collective garden, so like all the different organizations can like take a plot in the garden and then like whatever grows out of it, you can contribute it to like a food bank or something like that. Like after Hassan has been telling me to do this for like months, so it's about.
We haven't done it yet.
Mashallah.
I've done it.
But yeah, that is our idea.
Great. Who would like to help with that idea? Raise your hand.
You gotta do it.
Alright. So we have like about 3 or 4 people. So try to get those names. You saw the hands. Good. Let's go back here, this table.
We decided to piggyback on an organization that Towson University already established. It's called Feeding Our Neighbors. We feed the homeless every first Saturday of the month in Baltimore City. And we are primarily focusing on taking Towson students that are commuters or coming from New Jersey. We have a lot of international students who think Baltimore is beautiful. All they can think of is Inner Harbor. But they don't know the rampant homelessness problems that we have. So I think a lot of things like the garden could help us if you guys grow your stuff. We can cook it and feed the people.
There you go. Connection already, see? One day we already have connection to campus, mashallah. Very good. Jazakallah khair. I would suggest to, wear your MSA t-shirts when you go out, inshallah. When you join it. Go ahead.
Alright. So one thing we were talking about was getting the youth involved, separately of course, in a dance program to help fight childhood obesity, because that's a problem.
Okay. You're gonna teach?
So the actual program we were thinking was a big brother or big sister program at the masjid, where some of the older kids can get with the youngins and take them out, teach them how to dance, I guess.
This is actually really, really important. And I know a lot of masjids have had this idea, but it hasn't really happened almost anywhere that I know of. There's two huge purposes for something like this. So if you're interested, talk to anybody in your local masjid and let them know, any youth director, any youth worker, anything like that, let them know that you're interested. Number one, you get to mentor, right? So that's very important. But also for yourself, you get to learn a lot. Your self-confidence also grows as well. So there's a dual benefit actually to that. So inshallah, I would really, really encourage something like that. Very good, mashallah. Next.
We thought about something that ISB does. You know how they help out the parking issues? We were thinking about having something like that at UMBC, where somebody facilitates and helps people find parking.
That's clear. Alright, let me give you something real and practical. Right? I mean, this is a really good idea. But I also, maybe even having a service of escorting the sisters to their car in the night, so they don't feel uncomfortable. So you can have multiple people, and not one-on-one type of thing, right? But honestly, that's something that could be a real need, and the sisters know better, if not. But I know sometimes people feel a little bit, uncomfortable, especially if they have late classes, and if there's people already on campus. So facilitating something like that may be something that could be an easy project as well, inshallah. What else? Good, thank you. Next table.
I was thinking, like the MSA or any kind of Muslim association or something could do a program where they volunteer at some kind of like inner city school monthly and tutor. So that way you're kind of getting the youth, like the elementary school, stuff like that. So you're getting to them before they've grown up and they're kind of set in their ways. So you establish like a good idea of what a Muslim is, someone who volunteers and has helped you out throughout your life. So that's what I was thinking.
Very good, mashallah. If your guys are really serious about that, I have some connections with some schools that I can help you guys do that, inshallah. So just let me know if you're really interested in that. I know some inner city schools that we can work with. Don't forget about tutoring here. Right? A lot of you are really good at different subjects. Have open tutoring. And let your fellow schoolmates and classmates here from UMBC. That's another way of doing it as well, inshallah. Very good. Next group.
Hi. So what we were talking about is based on the bullying month this month and mental health and awareness last month is an organization called American Suicide Prevention. And on campus it's called Active Minds. And what they do is they bring stuff to bring awareness to mental health and the struggles that all of us are going through. And if you want to bring it back to Islam, it's called the Greater Jihad. And Rasulullah talked about it like when they were coming back from the Battle of Badr. They were like, you are leaving the lesser jihad into the greater jihad. So it's the fight that all of us deal with, and it's the best to get into Jannah.
So what would our role be with that?
So our role would be to talk to and bring awareness to each other's struggles. And since a lot of you have gone through stuff that other sisters or brothers are dealing with right now, you can give advice and help them through a very difficult situation.
Yeah, jazakallah khair. I mean, this is a huge thing with Muslim community, especially a lot of those that are older than us. They like to bury their heads in the sand when it comes to a lot of the issues that we're facing. I'm hoping that you all break that down, because mental health issues are real, right? Depressions and other things that are going on, those are real issues that we have, besides many of the other issues that are out there. So don't only go into engineering and computer science. We need people in all different fields as well, inshallah. So, and a good way to start is to get training in some of these areas. We talked about it. Very good. We have 3 tables left. Grab the mic. Let's go.
Alright, assalamualaikum. We were thinking of the idea of paying it forward, as in like literally paying it forward, like when you're standing in line like in Starbucks or something, because we have a Starbucks on campus, we have a lot of food places on campus. So if you're in line and you have somebody who's standing behind you who doesn't have money like to pay for it, and they can do the same thing behind them, like it's like a chain of reaction.
Nice. That'd be really good. And especially if they know it's initiated by Muslims, that'd be really good. Inshallah. Very good. Last 2.
We have 2. Why don't you vote?
Just do one first and then we'll see. If the first one's good, then we'll let you go again.
Okay, we had an idea that we should write gratitude and thank you cards and encouragement cards and give them out to faculty members and also the janitors and all the people that are normally ignored that we overlook for the university because they deserve things as well.
Alright, let me see if people taking notes. Make sure you're taking notes. These are good ideas. I'll let you go, bro.
The other thing was, one thing we notice a lot is people on UPAD gossip and backbite too much. So to combat that, we should make a UMBC compliments page on Twitter. And instead of saying bad things, people should just say good things.
Shout out, right? That's cool. Alhamdulillah. Right? Those are those things that people don't think of. So we can have a shout out page. That's nice, mashallah. Spread the happiness.
So what we were thinking was to help donate to soup kitchens and foster homes.
So how can they do that? What idea would you have here at the university?
So for this, one of the things we want to do is raise awareness for Zabiha food at soup kitchens, like Ali just mentioned. It's basically, there's a lot of Muslim homeless people, and we went to the soup kitchen, the MSA did last year. And this dude was asking if we had Quranic literature while we were standing there, and it's amazing how many Muslims there are. But because there's no Zabiha food available at those soup kitchens, they end up having to go to the vegetarian food. And I'm not saying vegetarian food is bad, but if you eat meat, if you like meat, it's really hard to just eat vegetarian food all day. So to bring awareness for Zabiha meat at soup kitchens.
Very good. Jazakallah khair. One of the, I wanted to end with this piece. At the beginning, I asked why, right? Why we do community service, and we've listed a whole lot of reasons why. Keep in mind that yes, even though we may get good PR from it, or yes, people may treat us nicer because of it, or yes, we might get extra smiles and it might make us feel good. In the end, it's actually our duty and our responsibility to do so. It's our duty and responsibility to do so. It's not just only that it's kind of nice if we do it. This is a responsibility that we have. So in order for us to maintain and to promote those 5 areas that we were talking about, it is incumbent on us that we do serve. That we do serve. So try to make that time. As Brother Ehab was mentioning, those tips, really, when it comes to time, it's about priority. When it comes to time, it's about priority. Because I know we all know people who do amazing things. They say, man, how do they find the time to do all that stuff? They have the same 24 hours that we have, right? It's just about how do they prioritize. How do they prioritize? What do you put high on the list, and what do you put low on the list? So if being somebody that serves others is important, and it should be, then move it up the list, and the time will be there. And Allah will give you barakah in your time, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.
Takbir.
We're reaching the end, and I know you guys are waiting for one thing specifically. But before we get to that, really quickly, I want to give you guys a few options right here, right now, how you can get involved. I know everyone, personally, I feel whenever I listen to one of these things, I get so energized, like I want to go outside right now and help someone. So there's a few options here. By the way, I just want to say it's really nice to see members of College Park, UB, Hopkins, Towson, everyone here at an event like this. It's awesome to see everyone come here. So I just wanted to point that out. But back to what I was saying, I'm gonna give you 3 options right now where you guys can kind of help with stuff. And we're Salim from SSA. Thank you for waving at me. But 3 options right now where you guys can, if you want, talk to these people and really get involved. Number 1, you guys see the Helping Hands table back there. As someone who's worked with Helping Hands multiple times, Brother Asif is someone who really lets students and volunteers take ownership of events. You guys will have a lot of input on what you want to do, to what cause you want to donate, and how you want an event run. And it's really a nice place to kind of, if you want to get your feet wet, or if you're even advanced when it comes to event planning, to really work things out. And Helping Hands is always looking for volunteers. So if you guys really want to take an organized approach and work for relief development kind of overseas, and really think globally, that's a really nice place to start. You can talk to Brother Asif back there. He can answer any questions that you guys may have. Number 2, on campus right now, we have a food recovery network, and the president, I believe the president of the food recovery network is Sister Sarah Azim. She's a former cabinet member for the MSA. Can you raise your hand real quick? Okay, she's back there. So if anyone, what they do is, there's a lot of food that at the end of the day ends up getting wasted, whether it be at the commons or dining halls. And what they do is every Thursday, late afternoon to evening, she can give you better information on it. They take this food and they figure out where they're going to go, and Fridays they actually go and donate these foods to the different organizations or shelters or people who need it. Again, she'll be able to give you better information for that, and she's always willing to talk and open for questions for anyone. So that's something that you can do on campus if you have issues with rides and you live on campus. That's an easy way to get involved. It's not much of a time commitment. It's only a couple hours a week. And lastly, just kind of a plug-in, the ISB Youth Group in later November, this is November 22nd, inshallah, we'll be having something called Rake for the Sake of Allah. So what we'll be doing is we'll be getting together at ISB early Saturday morning, and we will be heading out to neighboring houses by the masjid, Muslims, non-Muslims, whoever, and we're just going to kind of, knock on their doors and say, can we rake your leaves for free? We're going to go ahead and rake leaves for people, and it actually ends up being a great dawah event because people get to see, that, we're doing nice stuff without needing things in exchange. So if you have any questions about that or would like to get involved with that, you can contact Brother Jose, Brother Naveed. You can ask me about it, and we can definitely work something out, because the more the better. And Jamal, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. But before we close out, I wanted to go ahead and call on the president of the UMBC MSA to share a couple of things with us before we wrap up and get to the part that regrettably some of you guys are here for. Our president of our MSA is Brother Acevedo. He served as the treasurer for the MSA last year. It's someone I've known actually since middle school. I know him very well, and he's really passionate about this kind of stuff. He really is someone, when I look at, I know it's someone who's involved with the MSA for the right reasons, because what he's focused on, he's very sincere about it. So you don't have to bury your head in your book. You can start walking up. Can you guys please welcome our president?
I just want to once again appreciate everybody who came out today. I understand there's some exams tomorrow, so we're really grateful that you guys were able to manage your time and get out here. It's something really special when people can come together, even from different schools, to work towards a cause for our deen. I'm going to be really quick because I know dinner's like right there, and I can't really hold back all of you. So first thing I want to do is give a big shout out to the MSA board because for the past few weeks I haven't really been around as much as I should be. I think just about like all of UMBC knows at this point that I've been having family struggles. Like my mom has been sick, and this to me represented another aspect of community service. Whereas Brother Jose and Brother Ehab talked about really emphasize the service element of it. I want to emphasize the community element of it, and that is that while I was struggling in this way, just about every single one of my friends there, and pretty much all you guys are my friends. So, I mean, all of you guys were coming up and asking me, personally, you guys were like, how's your mom doing? And, can we help you in any way? And, I knew everybody who said something was sincere, and it really means something to me. And, that to me is a community aspect of community service. And, guys, thank you for keeping me human through all this. It really means a lot. My next shout out is to Afia and Daniel in particular, who have been carrying the burden of MSA while I've been, here and there around random doctor's appointments and stuff. Every time I turn to them with some random task, like I would ask them, send this email or call this person, or I just handed Daniel the entire flag football project, like here, make this happen, and he came through. So every time I turned to them expecting annoyance or frustration, all I found was patience and understanding. So thank you guys so much. And I guess before I wrap up, just want to express my optimism moving forward. Like we mentioned, all these ideas here, I think it's really important that we move forward and implement them. And not just, it's easy to talk about them, but I think it's really important to implement them. And the MSA second general body meeting is going to be happening on October 29th, which is a Wednesday. So we're basically replacing open spaces, so 12 to 1, try to come out to the IFC, and we can talk about making these ideas that we have a reality. And I guess for the 10th time I'll mention Helping Hand. I was an intern with them over the summer. They're just awesome in every way. Awesome uncle is incredibly kind and dedicated, and come to them with your projects and ideas. Keep in mind the flag football tournament we got coming up. That's a source of income for the MSA, and it's how we fund these projects and make them happen. So project downtown, which we're working on for next semester, we're able to buy that food with money that we raise from stuff like flag football tournaments. And that's pretty much all I got. So jazakallah khair, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. And I guess we start with the food.
Okay, so to kind of organize this, and because I know if the guys go, there's not going to be anything left for anyone else. So if the sisters can go ahead and go to that room, you guys can get your food, bring it back here, relax, eat, socialize.